What's a harsh truth that humans refuse to accept? You can be a good person your entire life and still have a shitty life. This is probably the most depressing. Sometimes things just stop working, out of no fault of yours or theirs or anyone's, but just because. Some people change, and some people don't, and inevitably, some things between those changing and unchanging people will stop working. Unless you're a famous historical figure, you will be completely forgotten within a few decades of your death. That most of us aren't really that special. I find that truth to be very sobering and comforting, but it seems many would disagree. Kindness is rarely reciprocated, but be kind anyway, and never ever give up. The world is hard and cruel, but keep doing what you have to. Be smart about it, but don't let anyone deter you from being your best beautiful self. That there isn't necessarily someone for everyone. Lots and lots of people are lonely and unloved. The vast majority of who you are and the circumstances you're in are decided by factors outside your control. Some people are dumb or don't want to study. Putting them in the same class as smart people who do want to study is like putting a zombie infected in a room full of healthy people. Gross inequality of opportunities and abilities is the norm in life and biology. Some people really are born attractive, smart, and charming. They have it all. Equality of opportunity will guarantee vastly different outcomes. You can't have it both ways. Life isn't fair and it never will be. We can hope that karma is real in the greater scheme of things, but in my experience, waiting for people to get what's coming to them is pointless. I've known shitty people that have taken shortcuts, cheated, etc., and they've made out just fine. I've also known people that have done everything right and behaved honorably and gotten absolutely screwed. Everyone comes into this planet with nothing and leaves with ducking nothing. Yet we keep chasing things in life that doesn't really matter much and don't value the things that makes life truly worth living. That we're not invincible. We got a lot of things going for us, but man, this year has taught me that humanity can break easier than we might think. There will always be people willing to exploit others if it means making money, and they'll always find a way to do it. It doesn't matter how smart you are. If you were born into a poor family, your chances of making it are extremely stacked against you. Chances are you will stay in the class you were born in. There is very little upward mobility in society. Pride Month, Black History Month, and other months are overlooked because they are flooded with corporations attempting to capitalize on it, only to completely forget about what the month means in the first place. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We need to adapt to our surroundings instead of constantly whining about the changing world. Wearing a mask doesn't make you a sheep. It shows you're mature enough to abide by CDC guidelines and listen to experts. We're all going to die. I know it's true, but I can't imagine myself dying, and I don't think most other people can either. If you could read the thoughts of those around you, you would become a recluse and would have completely lost all the faith you once had in your fellow human beings. We have been, and will continue to have some form of racial bias/racist tendencies within ourselves, within society. If you don't believe me, I want you to look at any classroom or cafeteria without assigned seating. As for outside of something like high school, almost any public place, we naturally segregate. Just because the real effects of climate change are decades away, doesn't mean we don't need to do anything right now. Humans ruined their own survival of the fittest and also screwed their own evolution. Now pretty much everyone has to wear glasses and hereditary diseases are rampant. And it keeps getting worse and worse. 1. No matter who dies next to you, you always die alone. 2. Most people are in relationships to not be alone, not cause they're happy. 3. That I'm ducking their mom. The illusion of control. There is no real control. Anything can go wrong at any moment. We can have safeguards and precautions, but ultimately, control is non-existent. We don't know who we really are. Vast majority of our decision-making stems from subconscious parts of the brain that are not readily accessible to our conscious minds. Our sense of self is largely a story we keep retelling ourselves, to the point that it feels like 100% fact to ourselves. It would be entirely possible to manipulate one's brain to completely change one's personality. Likes and dislikes. Pretty much entire schema of who they are and how they view life and themselves. And to this person afterwards all of this would feel completely natural and as if this is how they always were. This has been observed sometimes in patients with certain types of traumatic brain injury. Religion has caused more death and violence through the ages than video games and TV could ever dream of. Everyone will die. Everyone. You. Me. Your kids. The stranger across the street. Everyone dies in the end. All of your struggles will only get you so far. And in the grander scheme of things they won't matter at all. Our lives here are not permanent. Shouldn't we have the right to choose when we die? Shouldn't we try to love others? Shouldn't we try to protect our planet for the generations that haven't come yet? Everyone dies. And that's okay. Grandpa was right when he said we were headed to hell in a handbasket. And his grandfather before him. Our grandchildren may well be blessed with a dreadfully long and hollow life, stripped of autonomy in service to our empires. Of course there will be a few lucky ones, whose luxuries are afforded to them through the pain and suffering of those beneath them. So it goes. It's one of the great ironies of the universe that the human race has adapted to every natural environment on the planet, but will go extinct because they cannot adapt to the one environment they created for themselves. Life isn't fair. The bad guys win. And do it a lot. Good deeds go unrewarded. And bad deeds go unpunished. There is no such thing as karma. And no eternal heaven/hell that will magically punish the wicked and reward the pious. We're all just a bunch of anxiety-ridden shaved apes doing the best we can on a spinning rock that is hurtling through the galaxy. That coronavirus is not going anywhere anytime soon. People who think that they can't quarantine themselves or wear masks because enough is enough, need to understand that we have to change our lifestyle to keep the virus at bay. That vaccines are a wonderful gift to humankind. Anti-vaxxers have self-educated themselves to be some of the most stupid, ignorant fools in recent history. Republicans and Democrats fight like cats and dogs for the cameras in public but scheme and sham together and laugh like hell in private. You are born with a set of cards and it's up to you and only you to play them right. The world doesn't owe you anything. When YouTubers say I started my channel to be a positive light/influence in the world, they're lying. Americans are looked down on by basically every country in the world. And that's coming from someone who wants to move there. There are a lot of dumb/ignorant people in the world, majority of which can be found on Reddit. That relationships aren't for everyone. Sometimes it's not because someone is short or too tall, or poor, or fat, or skinny, or this or that. Sometimes the main reason why some people have such a hard time getting into a relationship is basically they're just a terrible person. Their terrible personality and attitude just makes them repulsive. This goes for family, work and friendship relationships too. The only person you can change is you. Unless you're a licensed therapist/counselor/psychiatrist, you don't have to be everyone else's emotional dumping ground. No one else is going to change our planet regarding climate change. We will have to change it ourselves. No matter how much you may love your children, they are not obligated to love you. They are individuals of their own mind, not mindless clones bred to placate you. There is a campaign against hate right now, as if human beings should hate nothing. We should hate things that are morally reprehensible. It's just, we can't all agree what is morally reprehensible. So the definition of the word hate is being changed and becoming politicized. For example, if you call someone a slur because of their race, that is hate, or hate speech, or a hate crime. But if you attack police because you hate the system, or hate police, that isn't considered hate. If you tear down a statue because you hate the founding fathers, that isn't considered hate. If we completely eliminated sexism and racism, we would just find other arbitrary ways to divide ourselves into us and them. The media sure are ignoring it, but I don't know about the rest of the world. You didn't have to be female to be physically, mentally, or even sexually abused. Genetics determine your applicability in the world. Smarter people find it easier to excel at academic and intellectual pursuits. People predisposed to larger muscles or height have a large advantage in physical activity. Everyone reads books or watches movies and identifies with a main character. Very few people are main character material. We are in the middle of a massive extinction event that within just a few generations could have a tremendous effect on the ecosystem and human survivability. Sometimes people want like you, just for the sake of not liking you. And there's no amount of kindness you can show them to make them like you. That a large part of life is just random. Religious people are the ones mostly in denial with God has a plan. He/she/it doesn't. There are two genders. I can explain this all night if someone asked, and being someone from LGBTQ community myself, I don't get offended by this statement at all because of some articulate reasons. There will always be bad in the world. We can only minimize it. As an example, even if we move towards 100% renewable energy, recycled as much as possible, and found the greenest ways to manufacture items, environmental damage would still occur. You need to extract the resources to build wind and solar farms. You can't just recycle forever. What we can do is ensure we harm the earth as little as possible, so that it can recover faster than we hurt it. There is no afterlife. We came from nothing, thus we shall return to nothingness. We are all living on borrowed time, and entropy is the only constant in the universe. Humans were meant to eat meat. We're born with canine teeth. That means that while you have the choice to be vegan or vegetarian, it is not what evolution intended. We are omnivores, not herbivores or carnivores. Balance lies in the fact that we were meant to eat all things, and that is not a bad thing. LGBTQ people can be just as hateful, immoral, racist, sexist, or bigoted as those that are not. That we the people that exist right now have been born too early to explore the universe and too late to sail the untouched seas. Capitalism, with checks and balances, works. It's brought more people out of poverty in the last 150 years than any other governmental system combined. The chances of a society being 100% pure is impossible. The fact that all the various races, religion, color are just stuff made up by humans themselves only to divide the society. It will not unite humanity. You and everyone you love will one day die, and in due time will be forgotten, like you never existed in the first place.